Chapter 91. Something happens. On. Maybe Brussels wouldn't get bombed by the people if the EU didn't support the fucking fascists in Ukraine! The elves put us onto the racks while a group of other elves watched and did fucking Catholic chanting. Luna looked so scared and helpless as she was tied down with her bare boobies still on display. Not that that was important. I wanted to rush forward and save her, not because she was a damsel in distress, but because she was a socialist comrade fighting for the fucking revolution! I also wanted to save Draco, but not as much. The reason was not because he was male, but because he hadn't proved his loyalty to the revolution as much as Luna had. Potter, you are accused of fucking heresy, said Cardinal Snape as some elves stood ready to give the rack a turn. Do you confess to not believing that fucking Pope Francis speaks for God personally? No, I don't believe that, I said in a working man's voice. In fact, I don't believe that God exists at all. Well, this is awkward, said Snape religiously. This is usually the part where we fucking torture you into confessing your fucking sin against Almighty God. Suddenly, we heard a fucking rebellious sound outside. It came closer and closer proletarianly until it crashed progressively through the window of the dungeon and landed. It was fucking naked dogs, having flown communistically in on a big fucking broomstick. I'm here to fucking save you, she said radically, while still being naked and sexy. Not that I cared about fucking that. Chapter 92. Tonks versus the Elves. I did not go too far with my last altar note. I just explained how the Brussels attack was blowback for the fucking fascism of the West. If you have a problem with that, you're probably a fucking Islamophobe. Snap's eyes became wide and terrified as he was intimidated by strong women, especially when they were comfortable with their sexuality. Not that there was anything sexual about Tonks having her tits and ass on display, of course. Eventually, Cardinal Snape raised a finger to point patriarchally at her in a deep objectifying way of pure sexism. Put her in the Iron Maiden, my elves, he commanded in a bourgeois voice. As the elves ran forward, he made the sign of the cross while mouthing, Mary, Mother of God. Tonks had nothing at all, because we had sacrificed everything to escape Azkaban for the people! When the elves attacked her, she fought back with the only weapons she had, her own body and the big fucking broomstick. She moved athletically across the room, knocking elves away from her by punching them with her fists, kicking them with her bare feet, and occasionally swatting them with the big fucking broomstick. The sight was very sexually intense, as if I'd care about something as bourgeois as that. Finally, all the elves were knocked out, and Tonks was standing right before Snape. Chapter 93. A fascist is defeated. This is not fucking performance art! I am telling you the fucking truth about your fucking capitalist system! No, this cannot be! Cried Snape as he cringed imperialistically in the corner, while Tonks stood nakedly in front of him, with her heaving bosom in his face. Not that that was an important detail. You are not in your appropriate gender role! Shut up, you fucking mansplainer! Tonks said feministly. You fucking Catholics haven't changed a bit since you rallied behind Franco in the Spanish Civil War! But the Spanish Red Republic was really bad! Snape pleaded while crying religiously. We wanted to be progressive, but that time we had no choice but to support fascism. In Spain, you fought on the side of Mussolini and fucking Hitler! Tonks yelled gloriously in the voice of the people who were born because of capitalism. There is no excuse for fucking that! Fascism is the greatest evil ever to exist on fucking Earth! Then she leapt up in the air like an amazing cheerleader and gave Snape a karate kick in a way which wasn't cultural appropriation. She looked very sexy and athletic while doing it, but I paid no attention to that part. Snape fell to the floor and was fucking knocked out. Chapter 94. Tonks frees us. Out or not, I really think the revolution is coming soon, comrades! I feel certain the end of the capitalism will be by the year 2020. As Tonks ran progressively to the wreck I was tied to, I paid no attention to how her bear jugs bounced around in a way which I would have found very sexually appealing if I were an ordinary teenage boy and not concerned with the fucking revolution! She reached me rebelliously and then untied me from the wreck socialistically. "Why, is she fucking naked?" asked Draco to me as Tonks walked past him in an anti-imperialist way. "To free fucking topless Luna!" "The same reason I was naked when I arrived back at Hogwarts," I explained communistically. "We had to give up all our clothes to escape from fucking Azkaban!" Meanwhile, Luna tried to get off the rack for the people, but her rude trousers had gotten caught on it. Tonks had to proletarianly help her out of them, causing their nude boobs to accidentally smash together non-sexually, but I ignored that uninteresting detail. Luna climbed free, now wearing nothing except a pair of red panties with a fucking hammer and sickle on them. "What about him?" asked Tonks, pointing at Draco. "Should I free him? Is he a comrade?" "He's not a fucking comrade yet," I replied in the voice of the 99% of the people who can't afford any bread under capitalism. "But I think he could become one. Free him." Tonks nodded in a comradely way of the revolution and then unbound Draco from the fucking rack he was on. Chapter 95. Harry makes a plan for the people. Fascist America should not fucking put anti-capitalist activist Harriet Tubman on the 20. Instead, they should be honest and put fucking Hitler there! "Hermione saw an article about you in the newspaper this morning," I explained to Tonks in a fucking revolutionary way. "It was all bourgeois lies, of course, but it's clear that you're really scaring the big fucking capitalists!" "That's good to know," said Tonks as she stood there completely naked, but I didn't care about that. "Everything I do is for the people now. I could have stolen some clothes for myself, but that would have meant putting myself ahead of the proletariat. I do miss having a Che Guevara t-shirt, though." "You can have mine," I said, pulling off my Che Guevara t-shirt to reveal my muscular working man's chest of socialist strength. "I can't take this," said Tonks radically, speaking up for the working class of rebellious proletarian socialism. "You need a shirt more than I do," I replied. "As fucking Marx said, to each according to his need." "I guess you're right," said Tonks as she put on the t-shirt. She wore it like a mini dress, except that it wasn't quite long enough, and you could catch a glimpse of her bushy cunt whenever she walked. Not that I paid any fucking attention to that. "What are we going to do now?" asked Draco. "Me, you, and Tonks will escape on the big fucking broomstick from fucking Hogwarts," I explained rebelliously. "Luna will go to the room of requirement and tell the rest of the Warsaw Pact about what fucking happened." "I'll give her my shirt," said Draco as he took off his black t-shirt with the dark mark on it. "It's good that you're learning to redistribute your wealth," I said as I slapped him socialistically on the back. "You're becoming a real comrade now." Chapter 96. Third May Day Special. Out or Knot, happy May Day, comrades! Not the kind with the fucking maypole! Draco handed his shirt to Luna comradely, and then she put it on progressively. Because I was so concerned with our working struggle against fucking bourgeois capitalists, I hardly noticed how you could clearly see her hard nipples through the fabric. The shirt stopped at her waist, so her sexy hammered sickle knickers and her amazing feminine legs were still on display, although I obviously didn't care about those things. "I better get fucking out of here before fucking Snape wakes up," said Luna in the revolutionary voice of freedom for the working man. "Good luck, comrades!" With that she turned and ran out of the room rebelliously. "We better get fucking out of here too," I explained as I got onto the big fucking broomstick. Tonks got on behind me and grabbed tightly onto my bare hairy chest of the fucking proletariat. I would have found our position very arousing if I'd been a normal teenage boy, which I fucking wasn't. Then Draco got on behind Tonks and he misogynistically grabbed her tits in a fucking sexual way. "Get your fucking hands off me!" yelled Tonks feministly, and Draco immediately let go. It was obvious that Draco, unlike me, objectified women, and was not yet mature enough to respect their enticing bodies. Draco, you'll have to get on in front of me, I said radically in a voice of true communism. Draco got onto the big fucking broomstick at the front, and I grabbed onto him in a non-sexual way. Not that I was homophobic or anything. Then we flew out the fucking window in a fucking socialist way. Chapter 97. Escape from Hogwarts. That crew's lost cause he is Hispanic and Americans are racist! With Draco steering since he was in front, we flew away progressively from fucking Hogwarts on the big fucking broomstick. Where are we going to? Asked Tonks in a sexy socialist voice, although I didn't care about how sexy it was. Don't worry, I know a place where we can get away to, replied Draco back to her. You won't get away, Mr. Potter! Yelled a fucking racist voice suddenly. I turned around and saw fucking Professor McGonagall was flying after us on a racist broomstick. She was wearing robes which would have looked like clan robes if they were white and if she were wearing a hood, although actually the robes were green and she wasn't wearing a hood. She was also old and ugly, although that obviously didn't influence my opinion of her politics at all. And now we have proof that you're working with the evil fugitive dogs! McGonagall added racistly. You'll be sent to Azkaban for fucking good this time, Mr. Potter! Chapter 98. How to deal with racists. Iter's note. Damn right socialists are sexy! Not that I'm fucking concerned with that. Draco, get us the hell out of here! I yelled radically in the communist voice of class freedom for the people! And not just the rich 1%, but all the people, including the proletariat! You got it, Harry. Draco replied as he made the big fucking broomstick go faster. Call me Comrade, Harry, I told him in the voice of the working class. I'll never get the hang of this fucking communism thing, laughed Draco comradely as he flew us progressively over the forbidden forest. It's no use, Mr. Potter, said McGonagall in an elitist voice of capitalistic white supremacy as she racistly caught up to us. Even if you get away, I'll still tell everyone that you're working with fucking togs and that you won't ever be able to come back to Hogwarts. We'll see about fucking that, I declared rebelliously. Then I socialistically pointed my fucking wand at her broom and said, Evanesco! The vanishing spell made McGonagall's broomstick fucking disappear, and then she began to fucking fall through the air. Laughing gloriously, I pointed my working wand at her falling body and said, Incendio! Professor McGonagall burst into fucking flames in a revolutionary way, and she died bourgeoisly. Her fucking dead body became a racist fireball streaking across the sky. By the time it hit the ground, only her charred bones were left. And that's how you deal with fucking racists! I said in a proletarian voice of fucking revolutionary fervor for the 99%. Chapter 99. The Words of Mao. Sorry I took so long to update, but I was busy mourning the death of Margot Honecker, who was not a purple witch! Ah! You just fucking murdered Professor fucking McGonagall! Gasped Draco in a liberal voice of bourgeois surprise. I'm not a murderer. I'm a soldier, I explained. I'd be offended, but I know you've been brainwashed by the bourgeoisie capitalist establishment. You're suffering from false consciousness. Don't get me wrong, I never fucking liked her, said Draco back to me in a comradely way. I just never thought you'd go that fucking far. You can't make fucking revolution without killing the fucking enemies of the people! I yelled in a glamorous voice of socialist revolutionary freedom for the working man's radical proletariat. As Chairman Mao once said, a revolution is not a fucking dinner party! Except for the part where we eat the fucking rich! Laughed Tonks in a titillating voice which titillated me in a revolutionary way, but not in a sexual way. And then we all laughed together, including Draco, as we flew proletarianly into the sunset on the big fucking broomstick. Chapter 100. A Bourgeois Surprise. Workers of the world, unite! If you flame, you have false consciousness. By the time we got to where Draco was taking us rebelliously, it was as dark as the fucking soul of capitalism! He landed us on the ground in a fucking cemetery! What the fuck is this? I yelled in a fucking socialist voice as I climbed progressively off the big fucking broomstick. It's a fucking cemetery, explained fucking Draco. I know fucking that, I yelled back at him. As Tonks got off on the ground, the Che Guevara t-shirt I'd proletarianly given her to wear rode up and she accidentally flashed a revolutionary pussy at us. Me and her weren't concerned about fucking that, because we only cared about fucking class war! But Draco did get misogynistically distracted, so I had to slap him feministly. Sorry, said Draco quickly. Follow me. He led us across the fucking cemetery and towards a dark figure standing at the other end of the fucking cemetery! When we were near the figure, he turned around to face us. He had a white face with black robes, and he cackled bourgeoisly at us. It was fucking Voldemort!